Very rarely do we get Japanese RPGs that include horror elements, but out of the very few released outside of Japan, this is definitely the most messed up of them all. The Yoko Taro RPGs like the Nier or the Drakengard series don't even come close, not even Xenogears. The brutality and impactful moments seen in this game break all standards and cross all lines within the genre. Sure, there are some anime series, movies, books, or even visual novels far darker than this game, but a turn-based RPG released outside of Japan with this level of darkness is a huge rarity. Seriously, what the actual hell? So this is Dead End Request 2 on PlayStation 4, Switch and Steam, what I consider as the darkest JRPG I've ever played. Let me start from the beginning. First, there's this little gem called Dead End Request on those 3 systems as well, that I've covered a couple of times recently, developed by Idea Factory and Compile Heart. Now, don't turn off the video yet. I know those companies are infamous for the comedy and fan service. Trust me, this game is the exact opposite of that. Both games are serious games, and the second, well, I already told you, is way too messed up. Sure, they include some humor, nonsensical slice of life dialogue, and fan service too. They wouldn't be Compile Hard games without that. But they engage way more on an entirely different focus, especially the second game. It is kinda necessary to play the first one first to fully understand its sequel. The 2 main characters from it return, and a big part of the plot revolves around things that happened because of them. You can still jump into this one if you want to though, as the spoilers from the first game aren't that big, but I strongly recommend starting with it. And why wouldn't you? It's also an amazing RPG and the second best by Compile Hard, second only to its sequel. Written by Makoto Kdoin, the writer behind the Corpse Party series, that should speak volumes. The game puts you in the shoes of Mai Toyama, in an opening scene that shows you explicitly this game won't fool around. It gives you a pretty good taste of the super messed up adventure you're about to live. Mai is a reclusive girl whose abusive father beats her up and more on a regular basis. One day she just loses it and brutally kills him. That's right, brutally! In a way, nearly no JRPG would ever dare. And while you don't see the actual killing taking place, only these masterful drawings, the way they describe it to you with sound effects is more than enough to send chills running down your spine. So, now that her father is dead, Mai is an orphan that desperately wants to find her missing little sister. Their mother died years ago and her sister ran away, which is why their father became that way. So Mai's murder is claimed as self-defense. A social worker finds her and takes her to live in an orphanage in a very remote village. Mai suspects her sister might be there. A place for girls only, run by the mysterious headmistress Midra. Her daughter, Rotten, yes that's her name, not a translation shenanigan, worst name ever for a character, she befriends Mai. Girls are paired up in rooms as roommates here, so Midra places Mai with Roddy. Now, there's a lot of Yuri in this game, which shouldn't be a surprise if you've played other Compile Hard RPGs. A couple of girls are an item and whatnot, but Roddy is completely obsessed with Mai. She really wants to get in her panties the entire game, but it's mostly handled as comedy. Mai isn't interested one bit in that though, but they become good friends nonetheless. However, Mai soon notices 2 very strange things happening in this town and orphanage. Nobody seems to know technology at all. Girls wonder what a phone or even a computer is. And to make matters far worse, only girls like Mai and Roddy can see the horrendous monsters roaming the streets at midnight. Obviously, the goal of the game is for Mai to find her sister, expose whatever's happening in there, and get the hell out. That's where the horror part comes in, but we'll get to that in a bit. Unlike its predecessor, where half of the game was a visual novel, this game pulls that off impressively. You'll get a small feature of one during this menu-based phase, where you can talk to other girls of the dorm. It's important to do that so you get acquainted with them, or else the most horrendous and tragic moments in this game won't hit you as hard. This is why the game is so fantastic, because the horrible things that happen and how they happen hits you right there, man. Now, like the first game, it's called Dead End Request for a number of spoiler reasons, but the non-spoiler one is that it has a lot of random bad endings. Fortunately, unlike in the first game, you can save freely during dialogue, and if you get a bad ending, you'll have the option to go back to the last decision point. So it encourages you more to watch these dead ends without having to worry about your save data. Some of them are gruesome, but not as much as the main events in the story. And thank goodness the true ending is the canon ending here. No requirement bullcrap shenanigans, the way it always should be. Let's talk about the rest of the gameplay. Like I said, it's a horror game, so every time you go out to explore, it'll be done in these really creepy streets or forests full of these spider-like spikes with strange data. No interaction is done with them, but they just look beautifully creepy everywhere you go. Monsters are roaming around, but you can avoid them if you want to. However, often you'll encounter these horrible shadow matter beings, and you'll have to run away from them until they disappear. Even the regular monsters stay away from them. If they catch up to you, it's game over. So that's a really stressful horror element there, but it's awesome, you'll get used to it. Graphics are beautiful, you gotta consider it's an Idea Factory game, so obviously they aren't a AAA studio, but for what they are, I thought the visual department was great. The soundtrack, however, is absolutely incredible. Creepy as hell, and with some memorable themes in battle. But the king of them all is the final boss theme, which is beyond badass, and among my favorites ever in a JRPG. Combat. It's the same as in the first game, but with some big quality of life improvements. Up to 3 girls can participate in battle, and they are by themselves. Again, characters and enemies are weak to a specific element of the 3, sun, moon, and stars. All girls will learn a few attacks of each element, but they'll focus on their own, same as the monsters. During your turn, you can still walk around the battlefield to position your girl in a strategic way near the enemy or the enemies. You can attack regularly or select up to 3 actions in a row. If the last action has a knockback feature, you'll send the enemy flying across the screen so they can bump into each other or against the walls. Bumping into an ally will make that ally attack them again to keep them bumping. Magic circles are back, as you can see, but that's where the improvement comes in handy. You see, in the first game, nearly every single one of them will damage you when touching them. Still, you kinda needed them if you wanted to increase the corruption level of the girls, so they could transform into sexy demons for one turn. In this game, barely any of the circles damage you, and instead they buff a different stat. Once they reach 80%, they'll transform into glitch mode and do more damage, including an optional special attack as their third action. I freaking love this combat. It was amazing in the first game, it's even better here because of that, and it's just easier to have enemies bump around, creating nothing but massive damage and chaos amongst all of them until they die. Oh yeah, it's awesome. Finally, weapon, armor, and accessories can be purchased in the camps within the save points from the Strange Seller. He also offers side quests, but they're all lousy fetch quests, nothing important whatsoever. The game also has puzzles throughout the areas, similar to survival horror games where you need to find this key all the way to the left to unlock the door all the way to the right, and so on. The 3 main characters have a unique ability to them to help with some of these puzzles. They're fun, nothing irritating, and the last thing I want to say is that the game's too short. You can beat it in about 15 hours unless you play it on hard mode. Easy and normal modes are there. Easy mode is a damn joke, stupidly easy, and I don't recommend it. Normal is also quite easy except for a couple of ridiculous bosses. The final boss is infuriatingly hard, but only because it's very HP spongy. Other than that, it's almost a walk in the park. I loved it passionately nonetheless. And now I'd like to make a comparison between the PS4 and the Switch versions. So time to pick your poison, guys, both have a big issue but different altogether. I got codes for both versions for a reason, but I don't know about the Steam release. The PS4 version runs smoothly whenever you move around with any character in any area. Combat is the same, you'll have no obstruction from bad frame rate or low resolution. Sadly, this version is censored. Only the glitch transformations, mind you. Here's a comparison between the first game and the second game on PS4. This is Kalia. As you can see, they just added a few small layers to cover her up a little bit more. They did the same with every single character. It's ridiculous and pathetic, to be honest. It's like they didn't even try, it's pointless. Girls are still quite sexy in their glitch outfits, but whatever. The Switch version is just as censored except for the character portraits, but they're still censored in battle. Like, what was the point of that? Did they forget to censor them too on the menus? So I guess it's partially uncensored. However, its technical issues are terrible. Take a freaking look. This is one of the worst frame rates I've seen on the Switch. It feels very choppy, it lags a lot, and controlling your character is just plain awful. I tried playing this one first for a while, just for the sake of the uncensored version, but it turned out to be very annoying. I mean, you can really see me struggling with the camera right now. Even in combat, it still runs poorly. Undocked, that means in portable mode, it's less choppy, but the low frame rate is still kinda there. This is the reason why I gave this version up and turned to the censored PS4. Go to hell, Sony. It would have been a perfect version if it wasn't for your political BS. In any case, the game's still amazing, and if you're willing to put up with the Switch issues, then by all means be my guest. So why is this game so freaking dark then? Why was it so impactful to me? I can't show you the most gruesome scenes because YouTube, but stuff like what you're seeing right now is what nearly destroyed me. I just couldn't believe I was actually seeing something this horrible in a JRPG. Scenes like these are scattered across the story, and there's one that I won't show because of spoilers that almost broke me, man. It was just too much. But that intensity, that level of darkness, of gore, of stress, that's what made me a huge fan. It's such a stunning and emotional game in a level most JRPGs wouldn't even come close. That's what makes it so damn special. This is the best compiled hard RPG and the most fucked up I've seen in a long time. As I said, there are far darker stories out there, I know that, with way more gore and gruesome scenes, but in a localized JRPG, it's so rare that it just leaves a strong impression on you. Definitely recommend it, guys. It's almost a masterpiece, or dare I say, it is Compile Hard's masterpiece.